into this mix.
Check 1 2, check 1 2. This is Derrick Broze with the Conscious Resistance Network. Today is Friday, January 27th, 2017. It's been 2 weeks since I've broadcasted because I messed up my phone and I wasn't able to go live last week. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up once you guys can hear me okay, and we'll get forward, moving on with the show. So first, thumbs up. Thanks for tuning in again. And once you get the thumbs up and I know you guys can hear me, please go ahead and comment below. Let us know where you're listening from. I'm here in Houston, Texas. So we usually have listeners from around the world, and it's always cool to let everybody know how big our audience is and how things are moving, and that this is a global movement to awaken consciousness and spread the ideas of freedom and community building. Yeah, thumbs up. People, let us know where you're listening from. Let's broadcast this message. And, of course, if you want to follow my work, you can find me. My name is Derrick Broze, D-E-R-R-I-C-K, Broze, B-R-O-Z-E, or follow the Conscious Resistance Network. You can find me on Twitter at DBrozeLiveFree. You gave me a thumbs up. I know you guys can hear me. Listening from the Bay Area, listening from Kansas, I think that means I got Minnesota, we got Rhode Island in the house. Anybody outside of the U.S. listening so far? Well, we got it shared now. We're going to start covering the information. I do have an exciting announcement to make for those of you who are aware of who I am in the Conscious Resistance Network. We're going to be talking about my new book, third book in the Conscious Resistance series. I don't believe I've announced the title yet on the program. We do every Friday. If you're new here, we do every Friday around 5 Central. And also got an announcement, another announcement, but we'll hold off that for now to get to the news, because I know that's what many of you come here for, to just find out what's going on in the world. So while you're chiming in, let everybody know where you're listening from, and we'll continue to do that. Also today, I want to really do this interactive, so many of you comment, Cincinnati, Ohio. What's up, Shane? I know you from Facebook. How you doing, man? And if you have questions as I'm going through this, comments back and forth, I know there's going to be disagreements. I tend to just barrel through the stories. I get into rants and start going off, but I do want to hear what you guys have to say. I'm a journalist, but I'm a journalist with an opinion. So the information that I report to you is factual. None of it is made up. And if I'm speculating, I will make that clear. But at the same time, even as a journalist, I have my opinion, and I'm going to tell you what I think about this information and how it relates to creating a more free world in our society today. So let's get into it. Starting with Trump's decision to sign a presidential memorandum. There was some confusion in the week. This article I have, they called it an executive order. There's slight differences here when it comes to an executive order, but essentially these are legal documents, legal memos and statements from the president regarding his policy on particular areas. So with the Dakota Access Pipeline, the Keystone XL Pipeline, Trump basically said he wants to go forward, and his people have been signaling this for days. I actually wrote an article on Sunday saying that you could expect the decision on Monday from Trump, and the decision came on Tuesday. So I was actually one day off, but I didn't just make this up, and I didn't, I'm not Nostradamus. I'm just paying attention, and I found an article, a local article in North Dakota, where Trump's energy advisor, North Dakota Congressman Kevin Cramer, look him up, Cramer with a C-R-A-M-E-R. He appeared on this local station in North Dakota and basically laid it out there and said, I expect the president to change this and this. We're going to rescind the environmental impact statement. Some of you know I was out there in North Dakota, Standing Rock. I went 3 times reporting in October and December. And in December, that's the day that the U.S. Army is going to rescind the permit for the final leg of the pipeline that was going to go under the lake. And they basically, they told the Obama administration said that the company is going to have to wait till after an environmental impact study was done. So the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers stops the permit, says they're going to do an environmental impact study. Most people expected this to happen. Hey, they're just delaying the inevitable. They're just waiting for Trump to get into office. Trump has put Rick Perry, who's the former governor of Texas. He's also somebody who's attended the Bilderberg meetings in the past, for those of you who care about that. He's also a big friend of the oil and gas industry, including Energy Transfer Partners and Sunoco Logistics, which are 2 of the companies that are behind pipeline. So you have former governor working on the board of the companies that are building this pipeline. Now he's being put at the head of the Environmental Protection Agency by President Donald Trump. So it's kind of, they were telegraphing this for miles away that, hey, we're going to approve this pipeline. Now, there's still a process that needs to take place. But Trump's energy advisor, Kramer, has already said we plan to rescind the environmental impact statement. We think it's good to go. It's safe. That guy's on the ground locally, and he's Trump's energy advisor. I think his opinion might matter. You might want to give it some weight for those of you who think it's just speculation. No, this guy's in his administration. He's not making things up. And again, the presence of Rick Perry, the fact that just till shortly after the election, Trump actually owned stock in the company Energy Transfer Partners. That's not a lie either. One other thing I need to remind you guys, I'm going to be posting the articles that I'm writing in the links below. So if you want to see it in the comments, I'm going to post it right now, and you can follow along for yourself. This one I wrote for Activist Post, and you can see everything that I just said is there. Follow the links yourself, do the research, and you can see that I'm not just making things up, right? Different puppet, same puppet masters, said Jed England. I agree totally, 100%. This is just a case of more of the same. You know, for me, that's what I'm seeing. I know there's many people out there who think that Trump is anti-establishment, or they really think this is the rise of some form of populism. And if that is your viewpoint, you know, don't go yet if you disagree with what I've said so far. I've got a few more points. We're going to cover a couple of more stories about Trump, and maybe by the end of that segment, you will rethink your position. And I've been posting quite a bit of this on social media, trying to get people to look at the hypocrisy. What I'm seeing and what's truly disturbing for those out there, because I know this audience is coming from the Collective Evolution, it's coming from Activist Post and Wake Up News and other places. People who are really aware of what's taking place in the world, or at least I thought so, are now seemingly being duped in the same way that the Obama supporters were duped for 8 years. You know, had this well-spoken first black president of America come in and promise all these things to change what we had under 8 years of Bush, which was surveillance, torture, war, expansion of conflict, all these sort of things. And people were ready to accept it. They were like, okay, well, this young guy, he's a constitutional lawyer, right? He's going to change things. And so they bought it the first time. And then the 2012, they're like, okay, well, he's still better than the other option. Maybe he'll turn around. And they supported him again. And now you have the exact opposite of that, which is this super extreme, more nationalist, like we're going to go back to traditional values and he's going to save us from all the bad things Obama did. And it's just, it goes back and forth. And I imagine in 4 years or 8 years, they're going to have somebody coming up from the left who is going to be, the first trans president or the first Native American presidential candidate or the first they'll try again for the first woman or something that really gets the left excited. And this person will have all the right rhetoric and, the things that people need to hear. They'll be different from Trump, right? And it'll swing back that way. And then the left will get to be the hypocrites again. Because right now, the left, even though I hate these terms, left and right, it is a spectrum that exists. People who tend to lean left, who more democratic, they're, for Obama, they were willing to, not everybody, I don't want to collectivize people because there are definitely some people on the left who have been principled and who are actually willing to call out Obama in the same way they were willing to call out Bush. But now you have a reversal of this. All these people who I thought were aware and were paying attention to things, maybe they only cared because they wanted to call out a black president for his crimes, but now they're not willing to call out all the signs of what Trump's pointing to. Yes, it's only been 1 week, right? People are saying, give him a break. Somebody just told me that on Facebook a couple minutes ago. It's been 1 week. And what I said was, I guarantee you the first week of Obama's presidency, all these people who were ready to call him out, they started saying, oh, look at the people he's putting into office. Goldman Sachs, even before he was in office, people who used to be awake and aware in the independent alternative media, even people like Alex Jones, InfoWars, and others who were really critically thinking in the past and calling out the establishment, they're now turning a blind eye, even though Trump has put in these same people. You have Goldman Sachs cabinet members. You have, again, the big oligarchy industry tied there. And just some of the same power players. Like, there's really no reason to think it's going to be anything different. But for some reason, people are ready to make a pass. So, again, let me hit you with a little bit more information, and maybe you will consider that perhaps Trump is not who you thought he was. And yeah, we'll give it more than a week. I hear people saying, well, I'm just going to wait and see. I don't necessarily support him totally. I'm just going to wait and see. I'm just hoping that some of the things he's saying are going to be true, And these people are willing to let go some of the really kind of hateful comments that I totally, completely disagree. With those it's a two-party system fraud. It's one party called the establishment. I totally agree. Charles Livingston. And that's the thing, is people are just being divided again. I feel like there's the left and the right. They're being twisted and turned upon each other once more. And, the the left used to support WikiLeaks during whenever Bradley Manning, now Chelsea Manning, first released the Afghan war logs and that video, collateral damage with the helicopter, the U.S. helicopter shooting unarmed people. They celebrated WikiLeaks and Chelsea Manning, and now it's switched where, oh, no, WikiLeaks is just Russian propaganda because they were exposing Hillary Clinton. So you have them switching in that way. And now people who called out torture and who called out, militarization and all these things during Obama, when those signs are starting to show up for Trump, they're just kind of turning a blind eye to that. It's these sides are switching. Now the left is like, hey, he wants to support torture. He wants to support surveillance. And it's on one hand, I'm like, cool, you're right. I'm glad you're paying attention. But so was Obama already doing that. And somebody even told me just a couple minutes ago on Facebook, well, this was like their final thing after I provided them. I'm not trying to attack anybody by any means. I want compassion. I want empathy. I empathize with you for believing and wanting to find an easy, quick fix solution. But voting won't do it. This system will not be fixed from within the system itself. We have to create new things. We have to create new systems that serve the people, and it's going to be different and diverse and beautiful all over the world. And that's what my books are focused on. That's what my activism is focused on: building freedom cells, agorism, counter-economics, real-world solutions, not putting your faith in the two-party system that has proven time and time again that it doesn't serve the people. It's not going to be easy. It's not a quick fix. It's not one size fits all. It's going to take generations. It's going to take time. It's a lot of hard work, but it's worth it. And people are so afraid. I think that really what I'm seeing is people just, even though it goes against everything that they feel inside, they're like, yeah, well, Trump's doing that. And so I provide an example that, just earlier today, the side note on the pipeline thing. The State Department released a report earlier saying that they're estimating the Keystone XL pipeline that Trump wants to bring back could create, just get ready for this number. This is how many new permanent jobs this pipeline is going to create. Are you ready for this? 35. This pipeline, and pipelines have a history of bursting. One just burst, 100 miles away from the Dakota Access Pipeline in Iowa just 2 days ago. I wrote an article about that as well. Now the State Department is saying, yeah, the Keystone Pipeline is going to bring a total of 35 new jobs. Yeah, all those people telling you that, jobs, this is why it's worth putting the environment at risk and stealing people's land through eminent domain. And when it comes to the Dakota Access Pipeline, interfering with tribal sovereignty, it's worth doing that for 35 jobs. This is what we've seen before. The jobs are only temporary because once these pipelines are established, they have electronic safety systems that they say. There's not people just sitting there staring at the pipeline all day to make sure that it's safe. There's no reason to have that big of a crew. It doesn't last very long. So whatever sort of construction jobs are needed to actually build the pipeline, those are quickly gone. But the damage to the planet, the continued investment in unsustainable products. Now, I'm not an environmental fascist where I want the state to control everything and dictate environmental policy, but I love this planet and I'm connected to it, to this Mother Earth, and I will do what I can to defend the water and to defend the land and try to find reasonable ways to communicate that to people. I don't want a state to do it. I want communities to take care of ourselves and to have community environmentalism and to really build these solutions that it's going to take. So my desire to speak about this is not from one to call for state action. It's basically to say that these pipelines are a freaking joke, that we need to divest from these type of technologies. If Trump is really about, making America great again, then he is going to divest from these things. And, according to InfoWars and Alex Jones, he's saying Trump is about to release all the life extension technology and the free energy technology to all of the world, and things are going to change. We're about to colonize Mars. Well, let's give him some time, right? It's only been a week. Maybe he's going to do that. Maybe that's true. Maybe in a couple months or next year or a few years, I'm going to be like, yeah, I was wrong, guys. But his early moves here, supporting the Keystone XL pipeline, the Dakota Access Pipeline, putting people in positions of power that are friends with the oil and gas industry, that doesn't seem to indicate an interest in freeing, alternative technologies. And I'm not just talking about solar wind power. I'm talking about other forms of energy that are out there that the government suppresses either through regulation, through direct threats, all kinds of ways that they keep and stifle innovation down so that only the products that they want to support, like oil, are able to thrive. Think about that. There's a lot of corruption going on. So if Trump was really about making America great again, then I think he would be divesting from these industries, not supporting them further. I don't know if I already shared the President Trump signs executive order on the Keystone Pipeline, but I'm going to drop that one in there. Now let's move on to the next story related to Trump. This wall. How do you guys feel about the wall? I'll take a couple of comments for real quick. Exactly, nothing lasts forever. Water flows all the way. What do you guys think about this wall? What are your opinions? I've got a story here that I wrote, and some people gave me some shit about the title. I put, surprise, President Trump admits American taxpayers will pay for the border wall. We're going to get into that in a second. But how do you feel? Do you guys think that this wall is a good idea? I mean, immigration is a huge topic. I've got an essay I wrote on that for my book. I'm not going to get too deep philosophically on the immigration topic. I know there are those out there who believe that putting up a wall, building a bigger wall is going to keep certain people out, keep criminals coming from other places. Without a doubt, people who commit crimes, they try to come into the United States and try to hide. There are those people who maybe be racist or xenophobic who want this wall. They just want America first. So they're trying to keep people out. The wall will limit the movement of wildlife as well as humans. Yeah, I do think good leaders build bridges, not walls. I think it's dumb, ladders and ropes. Okay, so a lot of different opinions here. I'm enjoying your comments because I kind of feel the same way. But let's look at this article that I put together here, and we'll take nothing I'm saying here again is made up. Just because I don't like Trump and I don't want presidents in general doesn't mean I'm going to make things up about them. These are their own words, okay? President Trump has revealed that American taxpayers will pay for the proposed border wall on the nation's southern border. On Wednesday, President Trump admitted his construction of a wall along the southern border of the United States will be funded by domestic taxpayers. And of course, during his campaign, he constantly promised that he would force Mexico to pay for the wall. You guys have probably heard that he was supposed to be visiting with the Mexican president. That got canceled because the president was like, dude, we're not paying for the wall. And he was like, well, you're paying for the wall. So they're like, all right, no, we're not meeting. So they had a phone call that was apparently friendly. And it really started because on Wednesday night, Trump was on ABC News and he gave his first interview, first televised interview since becoming president officially. And in this, he says that he's going to be starting the wall within months. When asked who would pay for the wall, Mexico or the American taxpayer, Trump confirmed that the taxpayer will fund the project that is estimated to cost somewhere between, I've seen estimates all over the place, 11 million, 15 million, 25 billion. 11, 15, 25 billion. Ultimately, it will come out of what's happening with Mexico, and we will be in a form reimbursed by Mexico, which I've always said, Trump said. And he was referring to the claim that the U.S. taxpayer will pay for the wall. And this is what else he says. He says, all it is, this doesn't even make sense. All it is we'll be reimbursed at a later date from whatever transaction we make from Mexico. I'm just telling you there will be a payment. It will be in a form, perhaps a complicated form. What I'm doing is good for the United States. It's also going to be good for Mexico. We want to have a very stable, very solid Mexico. Cool, stable, solid Mexico. It's going to be in a form, a complicated form. We're going to get reimbursed later. What is your message here? I'm reading the news, Lori, and I'm getting there. So he's saying that it's going to be in a complicated form, that a deal he makes with Mexico, and that we're going to be reimbursed later. So that's what people are basically saying. Like, yeah, see, we're going to be reimbursed later. So we're going to have to foot the bill now. It's going to come out of taxes. Because you have to remember this. The government doesn't produce anything. They don't have any money of their own. The only money that they have is money taken through taxation. What is taxation? Do you have a choice when it comes to taxes? I mean, yeah, technically you do. You could always start to find black and gray market activity, peaceful, nonviolent activity to make your income or work in cash and Bitcoin or alternative currencies so that you don't have to pay taxes, payroll taxes and income taxes, which go to directly fund the wars and other things that you don't support. You could make that choice, but most people don't feel like they're in that position, and that's a whole nother topic. We could talk about that later. But most people don't do that. So that you do pay taxes here, and those taxes do things that you don't like. Maybe some of you support abortion, maybe some of you don't. Maybe some of you support this wall and some of you don't. What I believe, though, is that nobody should have to pay for your abortion or your wall. If you choose to have an abortion, that is your choice. It's your body, your choice, and you should have to fund that on your own. There should be institutions that are able to provide that service if they want to, and you can go there as a customer. And if people don't like it, they can boycott outside or protest outside, but they can't physically attack you or hurt you. And they shouldn't be able to use the force of government, this institution, to say, hey, I don't want her to have an abortion, or I don't want that person to come in here, so build a wall. What you have a right to is to do what you want with your own body, and you have a right to protect yourself and defend your community and yourself from invaders. That means on your land, you could put up a wall or fences and keep people out and have private property, and you get to dictate who comes in and out, right? Show us your taxes. Tax resistance, I don't pay taxes. I haven't paid taxes in 6 years. I don't pay income tax. Yes, I get hit on sales tax because I buy things, but I'm trying to lessen that by growing my own food and producing my own goods here in the Freethinker House or buying them in the black and gray market, so I'm not paying any taxes. But I don't pay income tax. I don't pay payroll tax. It's possible. There are plenty of ways to do this. But if you are paying taxes and you don't support this wall, you're being forced to do it one way or the other, because if you don't pay the taxes, what's going to happen? You're going to get a knock. First you're going to get a letter. You're going to get a knock eventually at your door that says, hey, you didn't pay our fees. You didn't let us take money from you and take 1/3 of your income. And if you don't do so on this proper date, we're going to take more money from you. And we're going to take more money from you. And we're going to eventually put you in a cage. And then if we can't put you in a cage, if you resist, we'll probably have to kill you. Put a gun to your head and say, give us some money or we're going to cage you. And if you resist, we will kill you. And we'll be able to get away with it because we're the government and we're here to help. So taxation is ultimately, no matter how you break it down, theft. That's it. That's what it is. It's theft. So they're taking from you, and then they're going to use that in ways that you may or may not like. So even if you support the wall, you should say that, no, like, let me and my friends crowdfund for this. We're going to start an Indiegogo campaign, build this giant wall, and everybody in America who wants to fund it can donate to it. Obviously, a lot of you guys out there want to build the wall, so you should be able to raise enough money to build something, and you can go talk to the people along the border and see if they give you permission to build along their property, but they probably won't. And maybe you strike a deal with them. Some of them will sell you their land, some of them won't, some of them will resist. So you'll have a patchwork of wall, but it'll be paid for by you, and it'll be your wall, and you can make it as great as you want and as nice as you want, but you won't force other people who pay taxes and who have guns to their head to pay for it, the same way that they shouldn't have to pay for your abortion if they don't want to pay for it. You know, that it's the same issue. Be consistent. Be consistent. If you're against taxation in one area and you don't want it to go pay for other things, then don't force other people to pay for things that you want, okay? Don't use the force of government. And so he's saying you're going to be reimbursed later, right? Then later on, yesterday, there was a statement and the Trump supporters told me, oh, wait, hold on. They said there's going to be a 20% increase, a tax on all Mexican imported goods. So that's how it'll come from Mexico. We'll make Mexico pay for it one way or the other. So that means your Mexican weed, your Mexican avocados, your Mexican sodas, everything you love from Mexico is going to cost 20% more. And what are they hoping here? That it's going to cost Mexico more, so then the costs are going to get passed on to the consumer, and the consumer will be discouraged from purchasing Mexican goods, and therefore will buy American and make America great again, right? Is that the plan here? Well, guess what? Once again, it's going to come to you. You are going to pay for it. If you want this wall built one way or the other, you are going to be the ones that get taxed. Oh, you want avocados now? It's going to cost more. It's going towards the wall. It's making America great again, whether you like it or not. And I mean, it's ridiculous. And so it's stolen money. I'm posting that article right here. You guys can read that a little bit deeper. I kind of basically just share that information in the rant. But the other aspect of this wall, beyond just the philosophical problem with it being taxation, being theft, and that it's immoral to force people to pay for things that you believe in, beyond just that action alone, it's going to be a freaking police state. Did you listen to Trump's comments? He said that they want to build detention centers, more detention centers along the wall. Who's going to run these detention centers? The federal government. The federal government that I thought a lot of these people on the right, the conservative people, were against the federal government and opposed the federal government. But now when it's Trump doing it, it's okay for the federal government to militarize the wall and build a wall and militarize the border and build a bunch of essentially prisons. Who's going to guard, who's going to be in charge of that? DHS, Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, ICE, these federal agencies that I thought most of us were like trying to get rid of and break down. Now the answer is to give them power over a wall that's going to be heavily militarized. Now there's this report coming out here showing that a business request posted a request for information to a federal database of government contract opportunities for private businesses. So they post on here, hey, this is something we're looking for a contract for. If you're interested, contact us. So there was something posted from U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency, Border Patrol basically, and they said in their request that they are looking for certain new pieces of equipment. According to the documents, the Border Patrol is contemplating an expansion of the remote video surveillance system that would deploy the program's digital watchtowers to some of the border's most isolated region. A document attached to this request for information, I'm going to share this with you, details how the Border Patrol's eventual goal of employing these surveillance towers in every section of its operations along the U.S.-Mexico border. So we're going to have towers, tons of towers with cameras, CCTVs lined up along the border. We're going to have more detention centers holding people in there. It says they want to more than double the program's surveillance towers that currently exist in 6 of its 9 Mexican border sectors, increasing the towers from 222 to 446. What else we got here? Another document attached to the request for information says that the Border Protection Agency details the surveillance system's capabilities. It expects contractors to build and maintain. The system comprises both fixed and movable watchtowers that could be equipped with video cameras, night vision, and infrared heat sensing technology to detect and identify people, animals, or vehicles attempting to cross the border in daylight or darkness from up to 7.5 miles away. The agency states that the surveillance systems should have the ability to read facial features, clothing, colors, and license plate numbers, and attach specific geographic coordinates to each item of interest. In addition to the building of 229 new towers, they also want to upgrade their towers according to this document. Now, I'm going to just let you guys read that. I'm going to post that to you right now. That's coming from The Intercept, of course, Glenn Greenwald's website. Let me see what we got. Reminds me of the dystopian future in Eon Flux. Yeah, they will chip their captives and use them as experiments and, of course, abuse them at will. It's going to affect my timeshare. Dude, we're twins. I'm more than happy to pay more for avocados, build the wall, or do something to protect our borders. Okay, Derrick Ramos, I hear you, brother. You want to protect the wall. You feel unsafe. What is a solution, though, that doesn't involve what I just said? I mean, did you hear what I just described? There's going to be more, like, essentially prisons along the wall, along this border. There's going to be tons of CCTV cameras that can infrared, they can get facial recognition software. I mean, is that what you want in order to feel safe? Because that's the old bullshit the government has sold us for so long about, being safer. And, it's the freedom versus security argument, basically. Do you want freedom or do you want security? Because you can't necessarily have both. So you have to sometimes give up one for other. That's what government says. You got to give a little bit of freedom to feel safe. I don't feel unsafe. Well, then what are you worried about? What point of the wall then? I don't understand. I'm not trying to rag on you. Just can you give me an answer, Derrick Ramos? Let's see what he's got to say. I don't know. What else is the point? Walls have never worked. Berlin, China. Hello. Exactly. People can tunnel under walls. We just talked about this in a chapter of my book, that borders are just, you can't secure them no matter how much you try. But guess what? They sure can try. Most of my friends are from Mexico. It's the guys stealing our jobs. So you think that you're worried about people stealing your job, my jobs. Where is the evidence that these people are stealing your jobs? I mean, honestly, I think there's revolutionary potential with a quote-unquote illegal immigrants, because if they realize that they don't need to get inside the status economy and they actually create counter-economic activity, create their own forms of making money in the gray market, cash money, they don't have to pay taxes. They don't have to contribute to that. I think that makes them smart. I don't want them paying taxes because they don't need to feed this machine. Why would we want them paying taxes to feed this machine? It's to me, it's a positive thing if they're coming in here and not paying taxes. And I don't know whose jobs they're stealing. Your work construction. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a competitive market out there. I understand, man. Everybody needs to survive, right? We're in this screwed up system where everybody's just trying to make it and trying to get by another day. And you feel threatened, like these people are coming in and taking your jobs, dude. But there's got to be a better solution than turning this country into a police state. Also, there's got to be a better solution than us criminalizing an entire group of people. Like, if you say you got friends in Mexico and you know people down there, then you know they're human beings. And just like you and I are different people, we know that people are diverse. Some of them may be criminals, some of them may be coming for your job, and some of them are just people looking for another way to live. I'm not saying that I want complete open state borders, because that's the thing. People think in this false dichotomy that, if you don't want to build a border wall, you must just want everybody to come here. I think people on their own property have a right to let who they want and discriminate against who they choose on their land. Even if you're a bigot on your own property, your own properly owned area, do what you will, right? And that means people are free to form communities as they choose. But I don't want the state in control of this entire policy, because this is what the state does. It builds these crazy militarized walls and it just polices us instead of finding ways as a community to come together and find solutions to this. Let me see what else we got here. I see it all the time. I'm New Mexico. I have to travel out of state to make money. These dudes are working for half the wage under the table. I mean, yeah, okay, so they're undercutting you in the market, right? Well, people are willing, maybe the job that you're doing, I mean, isn't worth that much, you know, or and I don't mean that like that you're not worth that. I'm just saying, like, sometimes people, it's like this idea that McDonald's workers, right? They want $15 to work at McDonald's. Is there really a lot of skill in there? No. Can I have sympathy and empathy for them because it costs so much money to exist and to survive in our world today? Yeah, I can empathize with that, but you have to look deeper, and you have to understand that there's people controlling this freaking system through the Federal Reserve banking scheme that are devaluing the currency and inflation and other mechanisms of control that exist. That's why your $15, your $10 isn't going anywhere, and it's because of those things. So you have to look at the root, not just try to strike at it. So people think by raising up the minimum wage or something, they're going to solve the issue. And those, in that same vein, you know, maybe your work is undervalued, right? And people coming from another nation are basically willing to take less money because they've had even less, and they're willing to take whatever they can. Well, if the government would just get the hell out of the way, the state would get the hell out of the way, free people would be allowed to do business however they please, and some people might choose your work if your work is higher quality, or they would choose quote-unquote illegals. Maybe they do a better job. Maybe they're faster than you. Maybe, you know, because they're willing to do that. I don't know, but there would be an equilibrium. We wouldn't have this state that exists in the economy. So I think that your anger is justified and righteous, but it's pointed in the wrong direction, man. It's not at the other person. That other person is just trying to survive. They're not really they're not thinking like, oh, I can't wait to get to America and take their jobs. They are trying to survive, dude. And many times you see that the immigrants, the refugees are coming to the United States because the United States government and military has been bombing the shit out of their nations and getting inside and intervening in Latin America and South America and Central America and the Middle East for generations, okay? So we have so much blame to put at the people in power, not at each other. We're human beings. We can work together. And yeah, the people at the top are human beings, if not just truly corrupted and disturbed human beings, and hopefully they can have their ability to have forgiveness, empathy, and compassion. And I try to strive for compassion for them and accountability. But those of us down here on the bottom level, because essentially, you know, we're all, no matter how much money you make or where you're at, we're all trying to figure out how to get past the problems that we see today. And we have differences, we have different preferences in music, we have different tastes in food, and how we want to spend our time, and how we want to live, and what we're attracted to. But we recognize that things aren't right, and things are not good in this world at this present moment. And some people are more scared than ever because of Trump. Other people are thinking this is the dawn of a new era. I think it's probably neither, that things are just progressing the way they have for generations. They're going to get worse. They're going to get worse before they get better, until more people question the things that are in front of them and realize that what truly matters is living a life of value and living for another day as a free human, a beautiful free human capable of so much, and living with so much potential, and see that potential and that light in yourself and seeing that in other people. That's what it's like to be free and to be alive and to be human. This is what it's like to be alive, to feel that emotion. That's what it's like to be awakened. And that's what they want to crush. They want us each to fight each other, to have these divisions, this left and right bullshit that I've been talking about, that Trump is bringing in. I believe my analysis says that Trump is being put into this position as the great divider. Whether you like him or not, you can tell he's dividing the shit out of this country, intentionally or not. I think it's being done intentionally with more planning than some choose to believe. That's my analysis based on my research. I don't have faith that he is an anti-establishment candidate. But would it have been worse with Hillary? I don't know. I think it's going to be the same. It doesn't matter. The only people that get in this position of power are people who have sold their soul to do so. You really think after so long this establishment was just, oh, here comes this rich guy. He just came in and strutted in. We gave him all TV airtime with the corporations that we control and the banks that fund it. We could have totally blacked him out if we wanted to, but we didn't. It's like they wanted him to have airtime. It's like they wanted the message to be seen by millions of people. Just my thoughts on it. I know I'm getting off into a whole crazy rant here. Don't even remember where I started. I just started talking to Derrick about losing your job. To me, borders aren't the answer. That's the end result for me. Borders are not the answer. Militarized borders are not the answer. Yes, we should have a way to come together and to organize and to keep ourselves safe, but borders are not the answer. They're going to sell it to you as the outsiders are coming. You know, it's the communists, it's the terrorists, it's the Muslims, it's whatever. They want you to be afraid. That's all it really is about. They want you to be afraid, and the government, through NAFTA and GATT, like my boy Danny said, is what's really screwing up your jobs and taking your jobs. It's these free trade agreements that thankfully Trump was against TPP, right? I can give that to him. I'll give your boy Trump that. He's standing against the TPP. Let's move on now with a little bit more discussion on my views on Trump and his thoughts and statements this week. This one is called Fight Fire with Fire. Donald Trump outlines his plan for fighting ISIS. Now let's check this out. As far as I'm concerned, we have to fight fire with fire. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday night in an interview with ABC News, he said a lot of things in this ABC interview. He said that his comments regarding fighting fire with fire were in relation to his view on how to combat the terror group known as Daesh or ISIS. Trump was questioned about his previous statements in support of the use of torture, specifically the simulated drowning technique known as waterboarding. Now, some of you know that 2 years ago, 2015, we organized, Conscious Resistance Network, Anti-Media, and several other pages organized global actions against torture. Whenever the torture report was coming out, and everybody at that time was pushing to try to get this information to see what the Bush administration was doing and what the Obama administration has continued to do. Because make no mistake, and as I say in this article, torture continued under the Obama administration. Despite their 2009 declaration that torture was ending, they continued to rectally feed people. They continued to force feed people. At Guantanamo, the people who were protesting, the conditions there, torture continued. So if Trump reinstates torture, as people are talking about, because that is what's going to happen, you know, it was already happening. Maybe he's going to make it louder or more bold, or he's going to specifically bring waterboarding back. But again, the left is all up in arms, like, oh my God, Trump is going to torture. Yeah, Obama was torturing too, and so was Bush. He's just continuing the party line, like I've been saying. But so Trump is asked about his recent comments about supporting torture. He said he believes waterboarding works and is considering reinstating the technique. However, he did admit that he will yield to the recommendations made by Defense Secretary James Mattis and CIA Director Mike Pompeo. I will rely on Pompeo and Mattis and my group, and if they don't want to do it, that's fine. If they do want to do it, then I will work towards that end. I want to do everything within the bounds of what you are legally allowed to do, Trump said, but I do feel it works. Absolutely, I feel it works. And so then Trump goes on to say, whenever the interviewer asks him to justify his use of torture as a response to the violence from Daesh, he said it's basically, he said, when they're chopping off the heads of people because they happen to be a Christian in the Middle East, when ISIS is doing things that nobody has ever heard of since medieval times, would I feel strongly about waterboarding? As far as I'm concerned, we have to fight fire with fire. And he said he's spoken with intelligence officials at the highest level that have confirmed that torture works. So he's saying that despite the fact that tons of other studies previously have shown that torture does not provide any sort of meaningful intelligence or evidence, because people will say anything they can when they're being abused and violently attacked. They will eventually just concoct stories like the guy KSM, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who is supposedly the mastermind behind the attacks of 9/11. He only admitted to this after being tortured like several hundred times. So I go on here to look more at Trump's policies, and again, like I said, that this has been taking place under the Obama administration. And an important note here is that the psychologists, these crazy, sick, twisted dudes, these two men who are called the masterminds of the torture program, they're actually facing a criminal case very soon. And another related story, a judge hints at a trial for the lawsuit on the harsh CIA interrogation. Basically what's happening here is the psychologist who designed the torture methods. You know, and here's a side note, the deadstream corporate media, they like to refer to these with euphemisms and say enhanced interrogation techniques and things like that. It's torture. It's torture. If anytime you see them use that, just make a comment. Actually, it's called torture. And if you see in my articles, I never call it enhanced interrogation. Why should I adopt the state's language and lie about something? It's torture, okay? So the two people who were responsible for designing this, these guys are sick and twisted. I have several articles on them. Let me see if I can pull one up right here. Federal judges a couple months ago ruled that the lawsuit against the torture program psychologists can still can proceed. So these guys will hopefully be held accountable. There you go. Boom. The Conscious Resistance Network. I just posted the comment there. You can find more out about that little side story there. But these crazy guys who created the torture program for George Bush that continued under Obama's administration, some of these same people are still wielding influence and believe that torture is a good thing, and now they're in Trump's cabinet. So, I mean, I don't understand how people who oppose torture for so long, and any just moral person out there, this supposed justification, for one, there are definitely some signs that these ISIS videos, beheading videos, and different videos out there that the government says have happened that are very shady. Some of them seem to have possibly been faked, and there's even evidence that they were staged propaganda in some areas. I'm not saying everybody killed by ISIS is faked, okay? I'm not saying that or that never happened, but there's definitely some shady stuff going on. And Trump is one of the people who, in the past, when he was running for office, he was talking about the U.S. funding, Hillary and Obama funding, and the U.S. funding in the creation of ISIS. You guys know about this, the role of the U.S. government and Western nations in funding and creating terror groups like Al-Qaeda and what became ISIS. Well, now all of a sudden, now that Trump's president, he hasn't said anything about this. Instead, he's saying, let's go fight this group that previously he admitted was in part created by the U.S. government. He's like, let's just go fight them with fire with fire. So we could expect that the drone war is probably going to continue to expand, and he's going to bring torture back, or not back, he's going to continue it and maybe expand it, right? So I don't understand really how anybody can see anything different than what's right in front of you, is that he is a neocon. Trump is a neoconservative. He is basically pushing the same program that we saw during the Bush era, the aggressive militarization. I'm sure the militarization of the police state's going to continue. Obviously, the surveillance state's going to continue, at least along the border, if he gets his way, and if the Border Patrol get their way. He wants to continue conflict with Syria. Yes, he's trying to chill relations with Russia, and maybe that's a positive thing, but he's also stoking the flames of war with China, and he's really just creating more conflict in general around the world. Yes, some would say he's bringing peace to the domestic front, but at what cost? I don't know if I would prefer to have this strong, militarized America looking out at the world like it's its enemy and just refusing to work with other people, or telling people we're going to make you pay for this wall, or do these different things. I don't know. I think it's really interesting to see how he's coming into office. At the least, it's interesting to see that the corporate media is calling out Trump for his lies. But at the same time, I want to write article after article saying, where were you for the last 8 years? You weren't talking about Obama and his lies. You weren't talking about all the crimes of Bush. It's like the media is definitely complicit in many ways. Okay, so that's what I see happening here. Now, one note is, and I do want to say this, is for all the media's claims, they're fake news about Trump and the Russian government, they never proved it. Yes, you can say every single important agent and agency in the administration, the U.S. government has said that Russia hacked the DNC. But again, I said this on a couple weeks ago that I hate the language here. They say that Russia hacked the election, and it gives this illusion that somehow votes were literally changed by Russian agents. No, if anything, if what they say is true, Russia hacked the DNC, and the DNC sent that to WikiLeaks, and it was released to the public. All the public did was just read it and realize that Hillary Clinton is corrupt and that there's corruption all through the government. Tony Carlos, give him 7. He's been in office 7 days. Patience, young Jedi. We already talked about that, dude. People were criticizing Obama within days in office. Okay, I'm just saying all the signs are here that point the fact that, as we've already covered, Trump is going to approve and support the Dakota Access Pipeline and Keystone XL Pipeline, even though they're not going to bring more than 35 jobs. It puts the environment at risk. Oil oligarchy, unsustainable products embedded in his cabinet already. You've got Goldman Sachs. Like I just said, torture, the push for aggression with China. All the signs are there, dude. He's a neocon. But I do want to say, I don't think there's any evidence, and the government hasn't provided any evidence about Russia hacking anything. So the Electronic Privacy Information Center is now filing a lawsuit where they are looking for internal memos, emails, and other documents related to the FBI investigations into Russia's supposed, and this is crazy. See, all news now, they don't even say alleged. They just say it. Russia's sponsored cyber breaches of the DNC. So they just straight up say it's news, right? Russia did this, but there's no evidence. So EPIC, Electronic Privacy Information Center, is filing this after Freedom of Information requests were denied, and now they're filing a lawsuit. So who knows? Maybe the government will be forced to release some information soon. I'm posting that link right there. You can read it for yourself. But more than likely, they're going to deny this lawsuit, or if anything else gets released, it's going to be all blacked out, and we won't know anything. Drones are still dropping bombs. He didn't need any time to kill. Why give him time? Exactly. Like, if they came in, he could immediately say, like, all right, we're going to end the drone program, or put it on halt till we do another study, or we're going to close down the NSA until we do another study, or whatever. I mean, I'm not even saying that's enough. I'm just saying he could come in there and say that if he really wanted to. So those are my main points with Trump. I'm going to move on to other things because I've been talking way too long, and I only got a couple things left to say to you guys today. Thank you for hanging out so long. But just to reiterate, what I was saying is Trump putting oligarchy, big oil in his cabinet, putting Goldman Sachs, the people responsible for the banking crisis, who stole money from all of you people around the world. Those people, he's working favorably with them, right? Supporting torture, saying that he's going to fight fire with ISIS, not talking about the fact that the U.S. government funded and created the group and being real like he was in the past. Different things like that, I think already hint to the fact of his beliefs in the direction he's going in. And again, that this border wall, you're going to pay for it, taxpayer, and it's going to be completely militarized with towers and cameras and facial recognition and detention centers and all this kind of stuff. Sounds real freedom to me. So yeah, it's only been a week, but that's my guess. It ain't looking good after a week. This next one I wrote is called, Why is the Deadstream Media Ignoring These GMO Studies? If you watched me 2 weeks ago, you heard me break down this about two recent studies, one related to health, showing health problems after only 90 days with rats who were fed Monsanto's corn, and then another study that showed 40% of all studies on GMOs have conflicts of interest. Most of these studies come from the United States. 579 published studies, around 40% of them showed at least one conflict of interest related to someone involved with the study, also working as an employee of a genetic modification company, or having received funds directly from the company. And so I ask, why is the media not talking about this? Last year they pushed this labeling bill that is going to make it actually harder for you to know what's going in your food. And the Obama administration had Monsanto people in his cabinet. And we don't really know where Trump stands on GMOs or biotechs in general, or just the corporatism around this. But there's tons of conflicts of interest. Even in December of last year, the New York Times was forced to admit in a report that the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine is being questioned for conflicts of interest. The Committee on Biotechnology is basically challenging them, saying there's like tons of evidence that your people are connected to the biotech industry. And that's not really being reported on. And this is the same agency that back in May of last year, there was this report that claimed to debunk. They said they had done an examination of the most GMO studies of all, and like long-term this and that, and concluded there's no harm to the environment, there's no harm to health. And people were like, oh, look, see, I told you. Let me keep eating my Fritos corn chips, and let me just keep eating all my GMO corn and the GMO papaya, and look at this giant GMO salmon, let me eat that. Everything's going to be good, right? Well, like I wrote at that time, that study itself, the National Academy of Sciences, is full with tons of conflicts of interest connected to the biotech industry. I wouldn't trust their science, or at least I'd be skeptical and not just believe everything that comes from a government agency. And now we have a study that confirms a conflict of interest. The agency behind this major study on GMOs is being questioned for their conflict of interest. And a new study shows health problems with rats after 90 days, like damage to let me see if I can find exactly what it says here. Damage to the surface of mucous membranes of the jejunum, an important part of the small intestine. The signs of damage were apparent after only 90 days. They ate a Monsanto version of Ajib, a local species of corn grown in Egypt. This is sold in Egypt, apparently. And the rats were fed corn for about 30% of their diet, and after only 90 days, there was damage within the structures within the intestine. They had trouble absorbing nutrients. They found that these villi, little finger-like structures, were found to be distorted and flattened. They also found signs of inflammation, disturbed mucosal glands, and congested blood vessels. Check that out yourself. I'm posting it to you right now. So is that what you want to be eating? This is what you want to trust? Do you want to trust these people, the state, to be in charge of your diet and tell you what's good, what's not? this next one is just worth looking over yourself. It says that several bills have been introduced in states in the central United States that are going to make it difficult to protest, or that are, some say, are targeting protesters. I'm just going to read this briefly. Republican lawmakers in several central U.S. states are pushing bills that would crack down on demonstrations, drawing criticism from free speech campaigners and underlining the polarization over protests in this era. Bills have been introduced over the past month in states including North Dakota, Indiana, and Iowa, all states where there's pipeline fights, that would impose measures such as harsher penalties for demonstrators who disrupt traffic and scrapping punishment for drivers who unintentionally strike protesters. You guys may have heard about this. Bills basically saying that it would be legal to run over protesters. If you accidentally run over them, you won't be charged with the crime. What the heck is that? Why do you even need to have a law that has that kind of provision in it? I don't really understand that. It's sort of disturbing, but that's reality. Check it out. There's that article for you right there. Now this last one here. I mentioned earlier that Trump in the past has kind of mentioned like auditing the Fed or talking a little bit about the banksters, but now he's putting Goldman Sachs in there. And people like Alex Jones and others are saying, well, of course he's putting Goldman Sachs in there. He's got to have the best, most experienced people. He's using part of the New World Order to turn the New World Order against itself. Like, that's what he said. I watched the video the other day. He was saying that. Like, I'm like, dude, no. I can't believe people are buying this. He's like, it makes perfect sense. You got to take some of the New World Order and you put it next to you, and then it turns into anti-New World Order, and you use it like an armor, and you just use it to fight off the New World Order. I don't know. Sorry for that. But he has talked about these people in the past, and I don't see him really talking about them now. But according to this story from Intercept, Federal Reserve bankers mocked unemployed Americans behind closed doors. Why does this matter? It sounds like a piece of gossip. It matters because this shows you the state of mind of the people that are in power over you, right? Who owns the Federal Reserve? It's a private bank that prints the currency in the United States. Wherever you're at, you probably have a central banking system in your country, and that central banking system probably practices fractional reserve banking, which means they're stealing from you, and then they're causing inflation, which is slowly stealing from you over time. That itself is a tax in its own way. And these people behind the Federal Reserve, what is the solution? We're about to get into that. And the Federal Reserve the private board of directors come from these banks, from Goldman Sachs, Citibank, and all the same banks that stole from you. You know, the guy earlier talking about being afraid of losing his job. Dude, you know who's stealing your job? The people who are inflating your currency, deflating its value, and freaking robbing you blind. The banksters, the people behind these corporations, the banks themselves, that's who's stealing your job, man. You don't have to worry about the Mexicans coming up the border. Yeah, there's criminals all over the world, and you might die just from stepping outside your door. But you know who's already trying to kill you? The people who run your government. The people who run your government and the corporations behind them. Those are the people who are the real criminals. So they're having a private board meeting. This is apparently Federal Reserve. Where were they at? President of the Philadelphia Federal Reserve. They're having a private meeting. These are according to new documents that have just been released. And they were talking about how they believe that applicants fail to get jobs because they don't have a good work ethic and because they're on drugs. I mean, it's just basically, it's funny. They're kind of borderline racist here with this. Charles Plosser, the president of Philadelphia Federal Reserve, cited work ethic as a common complaint he heard in his district, both in rural and inner city areas. A contact of his who owned 60 McDonald's restaurants said passing drug tests, passing literacy tests, and work ethic are the primary problems he has hiring people. So this guy is saying, I run McDonald's restaurants, and these people can't pass drug tests, they can't read, and they have a horrible work ethic. I have a problem hiring them that. His wife noted that employees, that they noted that work ethic and drugs were also an impediment to hiring. And then apparently in April, at the Richmond Federal Reserve, President Jeff Lecker told participants, several firms told us difficulty finding adequate workers because they preferred to collect unemployment benefits and can't pass drug tests. Now, so they're all sitting around just sort of talking about how their people can't, people can't get jobs. And then, according to this report, they laugh out loud. So they're sitting there just like laughing. Then the room breaks into laughter. So these people are laughing that they think the regular people, the plebes beneath them, they have a horrible work ethic, and they don't want to take drug tests. Like it's any other damn business what sort of things you choose to ingest in your own free time. Yes, if you're flying a plane, you probably shouldn't be high, you probably shouldn't be drunk, but what you choose to alter your state of mind is your own doing, and that you have the right to do so, because if you're not free to alter your state of consciousness, are you really free at all? No, you're not. So you have to be able to be free to do whatever you want. So just the fact that these people, in their view, they're like, oh, and why does McDonald's need you to pass a drug test? Like, I mean, is anybody really going to care if you're high when you're flipping French fries or burgers? Like, I'm not. Like, I wouldn't be at McDonald's in the first place. But I doubt the people who are eating at McDonald's really give a shit if the person serving them smoked a little bit of weed before they went to work. Just my guess. It's just the Federal Reserve and the government wanting to be in your life, right? So the whole thing is just a scheme. It's just disturbing. I just wanted to throw that one in there just to let you guys know that they don't really give a shit about you. And what is the solution? This is my favorite part. This is my favorite part of talking at all. I've been blabbering now for an hour and a half, and thank you guys so much. Or I don't even know how long it's been, about an hour now at least. Thank you guys for paying attention and being here. Once again, my name is Derrick Broze. I'm from Houston, Texas. I work with the Houston Freethinkers. You can find us on Facebook. I live in the Freethinker House. You can come check out what we're doing here, all the activities that we got going on, and follow Conscious Resistance Network. What is the solution? The solution is for you as a free, beautiful, empowered human being to recognize that you are full of potential, that you have the potential to change your life and the world around you and the lives of the people closest to you by inspiring them, by pursuing your dreams and the things that make you happy, by not giving in to the powers that pretend to control and exist in your lives, those powers that wish they were, by recognizing that you are free, you are powerful, you are amazing. And I don't say this just as some empty words or empty rhetoric. I'm saying that the moment that each of us recognize how powerful and beautiful we are, the moment we decide to have self-worth, we can help others, build them up. And then we will have a community of empowered individuals who are educated, who are looking for information, who are not buying the mainstream BS. Because when you're down and you're hurt inside, when you're really just trying to figure things out because you're lost in your own emotional muck, it's hard to even pay attention to what's going on in the world. It's hard to even give a damn. Maybe you're like, yeah, fuck it, let Trump blow the world up, or these people deserve that. I feel like a lot of the anger, the division that we see taking place between both sides is coming from this pain, that people feel this righteous anger, but they're not using it in any sort of helpful way. They're just going at each other, and it's disturbing. It's not going to help. Those of us who are really paying attention in the middle, we're trying to just stay sane. We've been seeing the BS since the Bushes, since the Obamas, and now we're going to call the BS out during the Trumps. But both sides are becoming more aggressive. The left is so afraid of the racist that they'll just come punch you in the face if they think you're saying something disturbing. The right is so afraid of being censored because of political correctness. They want people like Trump to use force against the other side, and it's just back and forth, and it's creating such disharmony in our species and in the planet and in the way we live our lives. We have to find a way to get past this. The solution is what I call the conscious resistance. It's the moment that you step forward and you realize that the fight for freedom, the struggle for awareness and for a better world does not end in the physical realm. It doesn't end with voting for people or even just fighting in your community, protesting. It starts within. You have to localize, and the most local you can go is within your own heart and your own mind. And when you do that, you start to see the areas of your life that you need to heal, the things that you need to fix, and from that state, you can look with brand new eyes at the world and see what's taking place around you. And you can see that power and authority rules over you, or attempts to rule over you, and only has as much power as you give it. And see that each human is beautiful and worthy of ruling themselves. We don't need other people to decide for us, and we don't need to force other people to live our way. So what that means is we don't need government, this supposed will of the people, or that's sanctioned by the people, to use the force of that agency, which, as we said earlier, is built on force and violence, to get our way. If you want a community that is all vegan, go build it and hang out with those people. If you want to, if you think you need an abortion for whatever reason, pay for it and crowdfund for it if that's what you need to do. Get people who want to support it. Don't take from others through the force of government and call it justified and call it moral, because it's not. No matter what the thing is, whether it's a wall, whether it's an abortion or whatever, it's not moral, it's not just. And I want to create a world with less acceptable systematic and systemic violence that we see in the world today. Because right now people say theft is taxation and it's morally acceptable. Well, I can take from you to do what I want, and that's okay. But whenever a criminal comes up to you and does the same, you call him a criminal, but you give the government a pass, you give the policeman a pass, and it's time for us all to reject that. So my solution, my hope is that each of us can continue to communicate. This is a conversation to look at all the articles we covered tonight. Look at all the stories we covered. Go check out theconsciousresistance.com. See all the information we have there, the interviews, the reports. What we're trying to do is to awaken this mind of yours to look at the world with fresh eyes and to start to use the technology that we have today, nextdoor.com, freedomcells.org, cell 411, to connect with people in a way that is decentralized and doesn't require corporate entities or government bodies. It's just humans being humans, free humans coming together to connect and create a beautiful world that doesn't have to involve third-party interference. That's what we're after. That's what I'm after. That's what the conscious resistance is all about. And I think that the idea of freedom cells is something that I talk about, building small groups of people within communities to localize and, again, counter economic activity, taking money and power away from the Federal Reserve System by not using their currency when you don't have to, not paying taxes when you don't have to, trying to starve this beast of its economic power, not supporting the oil and gas industries by reducing your use of oil products, plastic, driving less, these kind of things, fighting them by divesting from the banks. I mean, there's so many options available to the person who wants to act. You have to be willing to want to act. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to involve just sitting here and having meme wars and being an armchair activist and debating on Facebook all day or getting yourself stressed out. It's going to happen when you decide to wake up every day and live a beautiful, free life and let no president, no king, no ruler change your state of mind. You remain in control of your state of mind at all times, and you choose to be an empowered person and to choose to live for something better than what we have been shown, and to help other people see that and to encourage other people to see that. That's when you're free. The moment you decide that. And it can happen now, and now, and now, and now, and now. At every single moment, you can choose to be free. It's a choice. But if we can actually move past the physical chains, that's going to take a lot of action. It's going to take a lot of work. That's where my work comes in, what I talk about. If you'd enjoyed this little rant I have, then I think you'll probably enjoy my books. Please go to theconsciousresistance.com/books. I'm going to post it right there for you guys, actually. And you can download my 2 books that have already been released. My 3rd book, I said I had an announcement earlier. My 3rd book is coming out April 2017 at the Free Your Mind Conference in Philadelphia, freeyourmindconference.com. I'm speaking there, and it is called Manifesto of the Free Humans. I'm very excited to release this book to you guys. It's me and my buddy John Vibes. If you guys watched the show a couple of weeks ago, I was in Maryland, and we talked all about the book. But we worked really hard on it, and it deals with the solutions to all the problems we talked about. It deals with the history of these kind of ways of thinking as an individual, an empowered, autonomous individual. And I'm planning on launching an intentional community in 2018 that's built on the ideas of permaculture, on the sovereignty of the individual, mindfulness, awareness, meditation, empowered mind, body, and soul, and trying to create intentional communities based on these principles. That's what I want to do. That's the direction I'm going in. And this book is going to lay the foundation. It's going to be a how to make these things happen. I just posted the links to my other books. The link to the 3rd book, Manifesto of the Free Humans, is not available yet. We have, if you go to the Conscious Resistance on Facebook, the network, you can see our cover photo is a picture of the cover art, but there's no official page for it yet. We're still just finishing the editing, but within the couple weeks, we'll have some new information. And with that, the book's coming out in April. So this is the other exciting announcement I want to tell you guys, and I really hope that you guys will support this. In addition to the book coming out, I'm speaking in Mexico at the end of February, Acapulco, Mexico, at Anarchapulco, the last Saturday of the month. And then also I'll be speaking in Monterrey, Mexico on February 10th. I'm flying to Mexico February 9th, and I'll be traveling through Mexico for 3 weeks, just with my love, having an amazing time, and probably doing stories. If you guys know stories of resistance, of empowerment, or struggle, just any things that I need to cover while in Mexico, please contact Derrick at theconsciousresistance.com. But I'll be speaking in Monterrey on February 10th, and then speaking in Acapulco at the end of the month. Then, this is the big exciting announcement, then the book comes out in April at Free Your Mind Conference. Beginning this summer, we are launching the very first ever Conscious Resistance Tour, the Conscious Resistance Tour. So we're gonna basically do this everywhere we go. We're going to come to your city. During the day, we're going to do what we call action days. We're going to go to community gardens. We're going to volunteer, or we'll build a new garden. We're also going to be planting trees everywhere we go. Maybe we'll do a homeless outreach, some kind of community activism during the day. So we're not just going to be traveling to your city and say, hey, look at us, listen to us. It's going to be here's how we can contribute. So we're going to come during the day, do action days. Any of you who want to come meet up, we'll do this together. We'll volunteer together. And then at night, at the evening event, is going to open up with a meditation, 10-minute guided meditation that I will lead. And then me and John Vibes, who is my friend, the lady's asking if he's healing. John is doing well. Me and John Vibes will talk about Manifesto of the Free Humans, our books, and the ideas within there. One of the concepts is freedom cells that I was talking about, the small groups of 8 coming together. Check freedomcells.org, freedomcells.org to join that network. Please do that. I live in the Freethinker house in basically a freedom cell. My 2 roommates, we're growing our own food, we're brewing our own kombucha, we're juicing things, and using nextdoor.com, we're selling the stuff to our neighborhoods. And we're doing this decentralized, agorist, black and gray market activity already. We're not paying taxes on this stuff, and we're trying to get them engaged in Bitcoin and other currencies so we can totally take power away from the state. The options are already there. So my roommates are going to come with us, and they're going to talk about that. They're going to talk all about freedom cells and their experience and what we're doing. And then we're going to close the night out with some music. So every city we go is going to be, during the day, we'll be building community gardens or doing some kind of volunteer. And then at night, I'll give talks, we'll do meditation, and we'll end with some music and hang out with you guys. We have most of the dates with the cities we've got figured out. We're still looking for volunteers and help. I'm about to post the information. If you go to theconsciousresistance.com/tour, I'm posting the link to you right now. You can see all the dates, and there's a video of me ranting and raving, all excited about this tour. I'm super excited because we're really going to be going all over this country. We're not going to hit the East Coast first. We're going to be going to, dude, Lisa, I would love to come to Seattle. We have one other person who's mentioned Seattle, but so far the furthest north we're going is Humboldt County, California, Northern California. But if we can get some more support, if you're willing to help us book an event, find people out there and promote it, then we would be happy to come there. Basically what we're looking is if you're interested in facilitating this, if you can help us, we need help in each city. We need a facilitator who can, one, help us find some sort of local activism to do, community garden to volunteer at, or homeless outreach, park cleanup, anything like that you can set up during the day, the evening, before the main event at night. And then if you guys, if you want to set up like a backyard, a bookstore, a community space, a house, we don't care. We just want to come to your community. And that's where we'll do the meditation, we'll do the talks, and then we'll just have acoustic music. It's just a couple of guitars, and that's that. And we're basically just going to be going, we've got a map. Let me see if I can show you guys the map. That's the map. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, let me just take this off here. I'll show you guys the map. 1 second. This is our map we started routing out. We're here in Houston right here, and we're going to be going all through here, coming through New Mexico, Arizona, down to California, and then right here I think we're going to go up San Francisco and Oakland, and then we talked about going here to Humboldt. So there were some people who reached out up here in Seattle, but we haven't had anything in Oregon yet, and if anybody wants to help set it up, we definitely would appreciate it. Somebody hit us up in Boise, Idaho, but so far not enough to really go out that way, so we're probably just going to head back down to Nevada, then to Vegas, cut across here. We're going to come back down into the Jackalope Festival in August, spend a week there, come back up here to Albuquerque, to Shiprock, New Mexico, spend a couple days in Colorado, cut across here to Kansas City to go see the urban farming guys, if you guys know about their work. Then we're planning, I think we're going to add a date up to Des Moines and Wisconsin. If you look at the link, it doesn't have these yet, but I think we're going to add these. And then we come here to Chicago. We're going to spend some time all around here. I don't remember all these cities, everything. And then we're going to come Chicago, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Nashville, St. Louis, what is this? Kentucky. My grandma's a farm in Kentucky. And then Little Rock, back to Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Oklahoma, back to Dallas, and then back to Houston. So it's going to take us, we're going to do this over 6 weeks on the road, July and August. And then we'll be going back to the East Coast because we got a lot of support, but we're going to go back to the East Coast not till October or so. Excuse me while I get this set back up. And I'll just hold it. And yeah, so that's the tour. That's the plan for right now, guys. So if you want to, we definitely have a lot of support in Philly because John, my co-author, is from Baltimore. He's a promoter who used to work in Philly. We've got support in D.C., Philly, tons of people across Florida. So those dates are kind of, they're not set up yet, but we've got support there and we're looking for help. Again, contact me at derrick@theconsciousresistance.com. Again, the book is called Manifesto of the Free Humans. It comes out in April. All the other books, my books and John's other book, are available at theconsciousresistance.com/books. You can download them for free. We're coming to New York City in October for sure, and we'll be in Philly in October as well. But you can download the books. Stay tuned to the Conscious Resistance Network if you want to keep up with when the book comes out. You can find me, Derrick Broze, on Facebook and follow my page directly. I don't really do friend requests, but you can follow me, you can comment to me. I do a lot of different work, mainly through the Conscious Resistance Network. Thank you guys for listening today. I very much appreciate it. I hope that I've at least got you to think a little bit about who Donald Trump may be and what we have coming in store for us over the next year or so. I hope that I've got you to think, to smile, to laugh a little bit. And I'd like to end, as typical, with a positive affirmation. So just repeat this after me, and I'm out of here. I am powerful. I am beautiful. I am free. Remember that. You are powerful. You are beautiful. You are free. Peace.